Welcome to the weekly rundown. It's been a minute. I hope you guys had a nice
holidays, yeah.
Nice holidays and nice happy new year. Zachary is here.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Hello.
He's not on camera because he is of XY. Is it XY or is it XX?
XY.
XY.
Well, I don't know. What are your pronouns?
They.
Him.
He, him.
They, them.
With XX
Jesus.
or XY? Or XXY?
Which chromosomes did you buy?
The ones that Fauci made.
Ooh. Are they effective?
No. They're as effective as the
Are they ever?
vaccines.
So they're pretty effective. Safe and effective.
Sure, you could say
Safe and
that.
effective, yep.
Have you noticed any adverse effect? Like mental or word?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Like what, buddy? Can you explain your symptoms?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of mental health issues, just a lot of crazy shit. Always can't focus on shit. Depressed all the time.
Do you have anything to say?
Sounds like he needs to go kill him. Oh, YouTube.
Don't be Chrissy Teigen.
Yeah, you're right.
We don't have time for that.
Yeah, no.
But what we do have time for is Novak Djokovic,
Yeah.
the top-ranked men's tennis player in the world and a noted vaccine skeptic, had appeared set to defend his title in this year's tournament after months of speculation about whether he would participate due to Australia's stringent vaccination requirements for travelers. But instead, immigration officials cancelled his visa after dramatic hours-long detention at the Melbourne airport. Now,
So, basically, it just seemed like a waste of time on their end. On his end.
yeah, they played around with, like, whether or not he would be exempt. They kept giving him certain answers that said, yes, you'll be fine, but no.
Exactly, I heard
not
about
really
that,
okay.
that it would be okay, and then, oh well. Then he was stuck in this situation, which is honestly a situation you don't want to be in.
Djokovic now remains in immigration detention ahead of a court date Monday, just a week before the tournament is set to begin. If the evidence is sufficient, then he won't be treated any different to anyone else, and he'll be on the next plane home, said the Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison at a press conference held Wednesday. There should be no special rules for Novak Djokovic at all. None whatsoever.
This is so dumb.
It's very dumb because they specifically said that if you have certain exemptions, you will be okay with.
Exactly. Like,
Coming
I'm
into the
sorry, why are they thinking that it's okay for everybody to be vaxxed? What if he's literally allergic to it?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you
Or just-
cannot take that. It can kill you. Or make life highly complicated for you, your nervous system. Like, that alone.
But Australia is just crazy. They've just shown
Absolutely.
throughout this entire pandemic that they're going to use as much force as they can to stop people from doing things, stop people from being able to live their normal life, unless they participate in the same exact rules that they force onto everybody else.
It's a really good example of why you should keep your guns.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Have absolutely no way to fight anything at all.
Like, if you've seen the videos in Australia, they couldn't defend
Right.
themselves in any
No.
kind of way.
No, the
And
police show
police,
up armed to the
yeah.
teeth, but
Yep.
what do the civilians have? Nothing.
Literally nothing.
But, it's safer with no guns.
People were plucked right off the street and taken to camps.
Yep.
That were originally started off as quarantine camps for people that are just entering the country, and now it's turned into, if we suspect you to have to possibly have had COVID, then we're going to take you to these camps.
Are people allowed to leave in Australia? Like, are they allowed to leave and, like, even not come back?
They
Because that's what I would be feeling.
Yeah, they try to go to different parts. But I'm sure, like, a lot of people are just
Oh, like
complying.
different parts. I know that there are different rules between all of them.
Yeah, exactly. What can they really do?
That's so scary.
Yeah. Rafael Nadal said if he wanted, he would be playing here in Australia without a problem. On Thursday at a press conference in Melbourne, he said he makes his own decisions. He's free to make his own positions. But then there are some consequences. Djokovic told Serbian news outlet Blick Sport that he might not attend the Open because of his unwillingness to reveal whether or not he had been vaccinated.
Unwillingness to reveal.
Yeah.
That itself. Are you freaking serious?
Yeah. He had not wanted to share
God forbid
his
you don't want to
information.
share your personal health information.
Right.
I'm just gonna start asking people, oh,
And why
do
does
you
it
have
need to be
AIDS?
public? Yeah, to be honest, why does that need to be public? Like
Right.
what like immunizations you have?
Right.
People are going.
Do you have your shot record? Do you carry...
Throughout the pandemic, Australia has had some of the most stringent COVID-19 restrictions of any country. Though it is currently experiencing its largest ever outbreak, Australia has mostly avoided the scale of outbreaks and deaths seen in the US and Europe. Amongst the country's measures is a requirement that people arriving from overseas be fully vaccinated, with limited exemptions. Unvaccinated travelers without an exemption are allowed in the country, but must submit it to a 2-week quarantine upon landing.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so...
Like, if it comes down to it, sure.
Right.
Like, come on. We're done.
Yeah, the issue is that the only time that they could really fly in was this week, and they have to do the tournament next week.
Yeah.
They don't have the time to... They've had
So
other
why can't
training,
Yeah, you make a good
other
point.
training, other things that they have to do overseas, and they...
Why isn't testing good enough?
Yeah.
Like,
Because
honestly,
nothing will be good enough, Zach. Nothing will be good enough at this point.
like if he tests
That's where we're
negative,
at.
okay, then you can't participate. Sorry, dude.
Yeah.
But if he tests positive, you can't participate. Go back to your country.
China tests
Whatever.
everywhere.
Exactly.
They
Right.
test up people's bumholes.
That's fucked up.
I mean, if it's safe and effective.
True.
Well, only American diplomats. 2022 midterms coming up. You better vote, people. Let's vote.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm
Get
totally
these
doing
people
that.
out.
Confusion seemed to come to an end early Tuesday when Djokovic announced on Sunday on social media that he had received an exemption permission and posted a photograph of himself at an airport apparently en route to Australia. After Djokovic's announcement, some in Australia criticized the decision to allow an apparently unvaccinated player into a country where residents have endured repeat lockdowns and where almost 92% of people ages 16 and up are fully vaccinated.
Sounds good enough to me. Again, it
Right.
just sounds like something that they're... I just don't understand.
It's
I
literally
really
just
don't.
government
Like,
overreach
It
at that
really
point.
is. That's really
Like,
what it
if
is.
you reach anything above 80%, anything after that you keep doing and forcing your people to go through, that's just government overreach.
And
they
then what
need to
happens at 100%?
resign and step down.
Because there's still going to be
They
people
don't
getting
stop.
COVID.
See,
they need to face criminal, prosecution.
See, and the people who are calling for that kind of overreach here, my issue with that is, if you're comfortable with it now, during a pandemic, it's just going to keep happening and happening over time.
Then there's always going to be a pandemic.
And it might not
And
be
even-
a medical pandemic, but it's
Right.
going to be something that...
Right.
Oh, there's a food shortage. It's a food pandemic this time.
Yep. These people have to have
Or the
food.
weather. They're
Yep.
throwing a lot of climate stuff, too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a reason why you should trust us more than ever. With
Exactly.
all this things going on, we know better.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to keep going.
We talked about the green cement a few episodes ago, where how that's like 6 times as expensive as regular cement, or maybe 3 times as expensive, and that would put regular families out of business. So, that's another issue where it's a lot of the rich need to do this stuff, but they're asking the poor people to do this stuff,
Right.
which they cannot afford. Djokovic arrived at the Melbourne airport late Wednesday with his coach and other support staff at Melbourne airport. Therefore, he was detained for hours before being informed early Thursday that his visa had been cancelled.
Fuck damned. Like, could you
At
imagine?
this point, I would just not
I'd be like,
go.
you know what, peace?
And even after everything, I'd say, no, I'm never going to Australia. They're never getting my business. They're never going to see my face.
Right, but
I'm
he's
not.
part of a team, though. That's
Well,
the...
Bye,
He's
team.
deuces.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Deuces, yeah.
He and Nadal are the top 2 are the top 2 ever, in history for Grand Slams.
Oh,
Wow.
well, I guess Australia's really fucking themselves over at this point. Good luck, Australia, next year. Because I really hope this man, like, completely packs up and moves. Like, at this, but, like, he can't even go and do what makes him make a living.
Right.
Well, yeah, he can't go into, he can't compete at this Open.
Yeah.
And this Open would get him another championship win against Nadal. And Nadal's allowed to play because he's vaccinated.
Right, and he just doesn't want to say if he is or isn't. So he really could be.
No, he's not.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. You don't know because he actually hasn't officially said.
Well, no, he was detained because, like, he couldn't prove. Well, yeah, I guess he didn't present any proof of being vaccinated or any sort of exemption.
Even if I was vaccinated, I would just lose the card. I wouldn't
They
care.
do know that you
would
can
lose
still
the
spread
card.
COVID while vaccinated, right? So why does it
Absolutely.
even matter? Why don't you just
Right.
test?
You can still get and die from COVID when vaccinated.
It's all government
So,
outreach. That's all it is. That's
It's
all
propaganda.
it is. It's so messed up. And people in Australia know. I
Absolutely.
think almost everybody in Australia knows.
Yeah.
From what I've seen in social media
But
everywhere.
what can they do?
In a statement, the Australian Border Force said the tennis star had failed to provide appropriate evidence to be allowed into the country.
Wow.
So that means either a vaccine pass, a proof of exemption, whatever. Government officials said that any visa approval is preliminary and that travelers must prove their vaccination status or the validity of their exemptions upon their arrival. Rules are rules, especially when it comes to our borders. No one is above the rules,
But you just told
Oh,
him.
but borders are racist.
wrote the Prime Minister on Twitter Thursday. Yeah. Borders
Borders are racist. Why does he have borders?
But no, like
They're
they said that he was
protectionary.
okay
Yeah.
to come
Right.
in, and now they're like, oh well, oops. So
Right,
it's like
just 'cause
we
someone got
understand
the bait and
there's
switch.
rules, but it's it's the big switch.
Yep. Just like every other piece of science that comes out about COVID, it's
Oof.
the
Oof.
science changed.
Yep, because that's how it goes. Science changes.
And it's
wear
although I can
3
see
masks.
where it's like he should have just planned to be there a week earlier, so he could have just done the 2 weeks of quarantine.
He still needs to compete in other
Right.
events.
Exactly, but
He still
at the same
is.
time, it's like you can see it like that side of things, where it's like, okay, yeah, but you could have scheduled things around that. Like they should have put the Open literally that close to the ending,
Exactly.
knowing that
Yeah.
Australia, where they're holding it,
Yeah.
is
See, they
this
just
fucking
want to
stupid.
show people. You know what I think, from a psychology point of view,
They're just
I
showing
think they're
people their
showing
power.
this. Yeah, they're showing people like, hey, we can do this to you if you don't comply, if you don't give us this, if you don't have your vaccinations.
It's the mass population psychosis.
It's so sad.
Oh well, there goes
Well.
that video on YouTube. We're at 15:50.